Alright, here's another quick video here because I started articulating the fact that I want to bing, but I don't want to binge. When I add the what? The ing. So I go over and I typed into the address bar here, what is the type of word that has ing? It's called a gerund, but that's clearly not what I want to use in that sentence there. It sounds like an infinitive, and when I searched that and Bing came up, the answer typed out here, so I could expand more and chat and everything. I could hit this. Look, so all the roads that lead to chat at this point, this is why I'm shooting this video, all roads lead to Google Chat. You ask the question in the browser, you now have this interface. You can get to Bing Chat through this, which it shows from the last session I had. So I would, I guess, clear that and start interacting there about the page I'm looking at. However, you can also expand this and make that go to a full screen interface. But the reason I shot this video is because here it has this. You can type a message. You know, I don't want gerunds. I want maybe, what is it called? The infinitive? I don't want the word gerunds. I think I want infinitive. Give me a definition of each and definition and examples of each. Chat. This is a third way to start chat. And let's see. Yeah. It gives the original one that started the session, and then this became the follow-up, the second one in the chat. Infinitive. To swim is my favorite activity. I want to learn how to play the guitar. She decided to take gerund. What are other... Oh, what is the difference between it? It's guessing what I want to say. So let's use these. I usually ignore these. What is the difference between a gerund and a participle? Running adjective, the running water. The running water. What's an adjective? And the difference between that and a gerund. That's interesting. The difference between an adjective and a gerund is that an adjective modifies a noun or pronoun while the gerund functions as a noun in the sentence. What kind of words end in ing? What other words can be used for gerund? Gerund. Especially in terms of language. In terms of language syntax and grammar. How did Schoolhouse Rock describe words ending in ing? Wow, that's a lot of searches. Look at that. Because I know. And then it quits, right? This is it giving up. Which Schoolhouse Rock dealt with ing words. Let's go right to the source. Unpack Your Adjectives. It deals with gerunds. Is called Unpack Your Adjectives. Give me the dialogue of the Schoolhouse Rock video. Unpack your adjectives. Huh. Well, I certainly like that. For anyone who's still wondering how this copy and paste, well, it goes up to 15 answers. That alone, everyone says, oh, Bing, it's just 5. No, it's up to 15 now. And, everyone's worried, oh, they're not giving away the web traffic. Well, I will just use what's here with a copy and paste, but instead of struggling with a highlight, see, they make it hard to struggle with the click, drag, highlight because it'll bring you into the site. That's a wonderful gift, DisneyFandom.com, that they rigged it that way. They also give you the footnotes here saying that is also this down here. And then there's more in there which you can actually show and see how there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 6. You can now copy it like this, and instead of struggling to get that highlight, which you just saw me make by accident, you can paste it from their special copy tool. And there is what they gave me. And if I wanted to publish what they gave me, I have it in my copy buffer. I would go like this, and there's a number of ways to do it. First, I'll just paste it into Vim like that, and then, because so much of this is lyric-like, there's so many ways to format this stuff in Markdown, but the easiest by far is just to move it about 4 spaces in, and Markdown will step in and just keep that together exactly as it appears, line wraps and all. It's like using the pre-tags. And I'm starting to do that more and more on the sources as well, because this gets pretty ugly when it line wraps. Of course, by keeping your line breaks, you have to scroll left to right, and it introduces another problem. But this is me gerunds versus, I just learned that word. That's a gerund. Adjectives are words that really describe things. So those are described things. Let's see where it says adding the ing. I don't see the ing. Do I have that wrong? Oh, okay. The people, places, and every last thing. I unpacked frustrating first and found the word worst. Then I picked soggy, sweaty. So maybe I have the impression that ing words are adjectives because of because of this line. Let's check with Bing. Is the word frustrating a gerund or gerund or an adjective? Frustrating is not a gerund. It is an adjective that describes a noun. Gerunds are verbs ending in ing and noun and function as nouns. Write a description of the use ing at the end of words and how it sometimes ends up a noun and sometimes ends up an adjective. Describe how Schoolhouse Rock may have made you think they're all actually adjectives. I got that spelling right. But in reality, a lot are gerunds. Yeah, okay, that's good. I like that. That belongs right in my my blog post because I had that realization, and this starts to get you to see how I use my journal, right? Now you might think, oh, line wrapping. Well, I could line wrap this stuff. It doesn't matter when it renders as markdown. Sometimes it's wrapped, sometimes it's not. When there's no link to interfere, you could highlight the whole thing, but there's no harm in doing it this way because if there is a reference, see that dotted underline? It's hard to tell if that's a reference or not. But anyway, you can paste that in here directly to the journal. And I can wrap that too. That's its response. And so now to complete my thought at the beginning, where I'm like, I want to tell, and this I don't even know what the verse adjectives. Netflix binging versus Microsoft binging. Netflix binging versus Microsoft binging. Gerunds versus adjectives. Thanks. Schoolhouse Rock. I thought all ing words were adjectives. All right. So, what's my original thought now? I copy that to the bottom of the blog post. It does. Thanks, Bing. I want to bing, but I don't want to binge. When we add the ing and turn either word into binging, binging Netflix, an adjective that modifies binging as a thing that you do. It's a noun. Binging could be a noun too. Into a gerund or an adjective. I don't have to work it out. They become identical. Huh. What's the word for two words that are spelled identical but have different meanings based on context? Give examples too. Homograph. Hey Bing, what's the word for two words that are spelled identical but have different meanings based on context? Give examples. The word for two words that are spelled identically but have two different meanings based on context is homograph. Here are some examples of homographs with references. Notice those footnote links. I guess terminology has to change. Bow or bow, lead or led, wind or wind. Good examples. I hope this helps. The references. See, this one will want to indent, but that one not. But they become identical words, aka homographs. Same graph. That's almost what I want to say to Bing. Now here comes the copy paste challenge. So that a general audience will understand without it needing to be spelled out. It should be immediately obvious because it's the cleverness of the comparison that makes it so potentially impactful. Alright, so how to copy paste. I got hardwired line returns here because Vim, and that's kind of showstopper for a lot of people using Vim. So what I do is I've got this is one of the rare places where I actually have some keyboard shortcuts for quickly turning off that line numbering, because otherwise that would get into the copy buffer. You just highlight it. That's now in your copy buffer because of how Microsoft Terminal works. So then you just go over again to your interface, and you can type it in, and as you can see, those hard line returns will be there. But so what? it got rid of them on the submit. One way to differentiate between homographs in language is to use context. In your example, you could use the phrase binge watching to describe watching multiple episodes of and binging with a capital B to describe using Microsoft search engine. Another way to differentiate between homographs is to use different pronunciations. So it would have to be verbal. It certainly works when you say binging versus binging versus binging. The way of doing this verbally is very powerful and achieves exactly what I want, but I want to generally present the concept in text. Maybe the text could drive you to a YouTube or TikTok video with a tease like, why does binging make you better and binging make you dumb? What do you think? And can you give other examples? I think it's a great idea. You could also use a chart or infographic to help differentiate between homographs. The most important homograph you need to understand today the most important homograph you need to understand infographic with links to videos that does it verbally. Do you think that could work? Yeah, reach it. Okay, 15 out of 15. Sometimes it won't answer the 15th question. Oftentimes I try and hit it out of the ballpark with it. This isn't a great example, but sometimes I try and make it bring everything together it's learned in the chat session so far, and then really, hit it out of the ballpark, grand slam home run. It sometimes does that. It didn't do it this time, but if you're planning on doing that, you should try and get those in when you're asking this question. After you see 13 of 15, put your big question in there, and then this answer 14 of 15 can really build on everything in your conversation thus far and be deeply knowledgeable and skilled and whatnot. I can give you examples. I mean, as a final bonus in my video, as you see me do this stuff and you see me copy and paste into my blog, you might be like, well, where does that end up? MikeLev.in, who's chasing the rabbit into a Linux wonderland. Well, the answer is it ends up on a website that is the same as my name, MikeLev.in, that I don't really promote very heavily because it's mostly about thinking to myself. And you're like, well, he has a blog, but I don't see the blog here. Well, yeah, it's a secret blog. I can send links to people, but they can't go surfing my blog too easily to see all the rest of the links. That gives me an ability to really experiment with ideas. And to find it, you just click my rotating logo, which at first looks like a rotating logo zoom up page, but if you keep going down, Mike's secret blog. and you can see the latest stuff I've done. Bing sidebar makes default search set to Google inconsequential. Really important piece of information you folks need to understand about how this is working. And, when I finish a blog post like this, I give it a headline. That headline becomes the search optimized link, a la the, old technique of WordPress of turning, a title of a blog post into your ahref of the link leading to that page, and then doing some, I don't know what they call it, stemify or blogify, the different words for it, but you transform it into all lowercase, and you get rid of apostrophes and stuff. And there I could send this link to people, and they can read it and go, oh, that's interesting, Mike's making some points. And you can see my unindented Bing references. I've got to probably go back and indent those in my journal to make this stuff read really well. And they can't go surfing around the blog unless they know the secret of clicking the logo. So this is how I think out loud to myself, working through all these sorts of issues. Binging versus binging. Such an important concept. I could see this through to the end, maybe. Okay. Everything in here is public, so I surf down. So here's the one you just read. I've got one above it that isn't quite complete. And I really need to start doing some really interesting stuff for Moz that leverages all this weird kind of approach to things I use, and to provide a real refreshing alternative to tech on behalf of Moz. Offer the world a refreshing alternative. Refreshing alternatives that fight existential crisis, right? Because with all this AI stuff, we're all going through some sort of little existential crisis. So what I really want to try and do is offer the world refreshing alternatives to tech, that fight existential crisis. I get that. I guess that gets the idea across. And this is my latest one. And what else can I say? I don't know. That's about it. But I'll show you the release. This will be the final benefit. And it takes a little while to do the release. So I'm probably going to have to chat you up as we go. Because after it goes through and reslice and dices my entire blog, I mean, every time it generates my blog, it executes this command, and it takes that single journal.md file and breaks it into its separate pages. I'm up to 484 pages that it breaks it into, and then it starts doing some git commands to hit some usual suspect directories with a git add, because I'm adding everything under posts, so that gets these last few posts that I might have added. You can see I do it in reverse direction so that the high numbers come first. So probably these two are the only ones that are really new being added. And you'll see at the end of the git process, I add any includes or image assets I might have done for the blog post. That keeps it really flexible with me adding new custom, includes. It's a real modular approach. And then this last step, which is pushing this now, at this point, ginormous GitHub repo that I have, because my mikelev.in repo goes back a long time. It includes all WordPress blogs I used to have, whole years worth of blogging that I just turned invisible by putting it into a drafts directory, because I don't want people reading that stuff anymore. And it's been released now. So to watch the release, I go over to, in this case, it will be Chrome. See, you can see this is my first screen. I always have these 3 screens going. 1, 2, 3. It always goes a CLI, which is my journal, Jupiter, which is the second icon there, and my browser, which in this case is Microsoft Edge, that I use as my primary browser. The 4th is whatever. In this case, it's Simple Note. The 5th is Notepad, because I've been copying and pasting it. So 1, 2, and 3 are fixed, and I always try and get these icons right. And then 4 and on, usually up to 7, are whatever I'm working on. So it's usually easy to keep pretty good track then of what's where. I find an open screen, I open Chrome, and then I have some special bookmarks made to show me how long things are taking as they render. It's really quite incredible because it's got all this drill down, pages, building, and so if you're ever curious about what the process looks like, everything allows drill down. The build is still occurring, so I can drill down from there or there. So here's the build occurring, and it just finished the build, and it's now going on to the status. Watch this stuff occur. Sometimes fascinating to watch the build, especially when things go wrong. And everything is expandable, right? That's expandable, that's expandable. Now it's on to deploy. Let's expand these things really quick so you can see more details of the deploy. And I'm going to go back to this upper level one here so you can see that little flow chart again. And it's all finished. And when it's all finished, I hit this icon next to it, which is my main site, but it's only one more click to get to my blog. There is this new stuff. I didn't even need to do a refresh. Netflix binging versus Microsoft binging, gerunds versus adjectives. Thanks, Schoolhouse Rock. And there is my new article ready to copy, paste, send to people, and how it manifests, how it converts from my journal entry into an actual published page on my blog that I can send people. So I guess I'm doing that kind of stuff more and more now because Bing is rapidly evolving and doing it in front of all of us. So, this is all a living document. This, by the way, goes down forever, right? This is, I could hit Shift G. Did I show off anything? I probably shouldn't. It goes to the bottom. Lessons from the Amiga. So I keep notes here at the bottom. Biggest lessons in my life. Stuff I want to blog about can be in something that's not in an actual blog post. It doesn't get until things are separated by these parsing lines. A parsing line is, one of these minus things for 79 or 80 characters. I forget what it is, but that acts as the slicing element. So blog posts are until another one of those occur, and I keep one journal for life, basically. One for myself, one for the world. This is the world one you're looking at. I've got another one which is just for myself. And I've got all sorts of plans on kind of helping you folks get these same benefits. It's a very bizarro kind of world I'm helping lead you into, one that is very functional, very relevant. It's how stuff is really built today, and survives all the churn of the fads and the changes and the trends that hit tech that keep making you go obsolete. Thus the, overarching trend of my site. You hit home, how do you resist obsolescence? Well, you use Pipulate free and open source software, and to go down that route, you're going to be falling down the rabbit hole, and you'll be encountering these 2 concepts from me, and I'm giving you all my best tricks, and who am I, and blah, 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 blah. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.